Why you wouldn't survive one day in ancient Egypt. There's a civilization that modern people romanticize as mystical, advanced, and beautiful. The pyramids, the pharaohs, the golden treasures. But the reality of daily life in ancient Egypt would kill you in ways you can't imagine. Not slowly, not peacefully, within 24 hours. In 2016, archaeologists analyzing ancient Egyptian mummies found that 60% of adults had parasitic worm infections so severe they caused chronic organ damage. The worms entered through drinking water, food, and even bare feet touching wet ground. They burrowed into intestines, livers, and bladders. Modern people have never been exposed to these parasites. Your immune system has no defense. Within hours of arriving in ancient Egypt, you'd be infected. In 2019, dental analysis of Egyptian remains revealed that 90% of adults had severe tooth decay and abscesses by age 30. The bread, their staple food, contained sand and stone particles from grinding grain. Every meal, a braided tooth, enamel. Every bite brought you closer to infections that spread to your jaw, your bloodstream, your brain. Antibiotics don't exist. One infected tooth means sepsis. Sepsis means death in days. In 2021, climate researchers reconstructed ancient Egyptian temperatures. Summer highs reached 115 degrees Fahrenheit regularly. There was no air conditioning, no refrigeration, no ice. You'd be working in fields or construction sites under direct sun with no shade, drinking water stored in clay pots that bred bacteria. Heat stroke wasn't a risk, it was inevitable. And when you collapsed, there was no hospital, no IV fluids, no way to save you. But here's what should terrify anyone fantasizing about time travel to ancient Egypt. The things that would kill you aren't the dramatic stuff from movies. Not snake bites or scorpions or crocodiles. It's the water you drink, the bread you eat, the air you breathe, the sun you can't escape. Every single aspect of daily survival in ancient Egypt is specifically designed to destroy a modern human body that's never faced these conditions. This is why you wouldn't survive 24 hours in ancient Egypt. What would kill you first? And why the life expectancy of 35 years wasn't because of warfare or violence. It was because simply existing there was a death sentence. Hour 1. The water will start killing you. Immediately you arrive in ancient Egypt. It's 6 a.m. The sun is already brutal. You're thirsty. Obviously, you just time-traveled through a desert civilization. Someone offers you water from a clay vessel. You drink. You've just poisoned yourself. Ancient Egyptians drank Nile River water. The same river where they bathed, washed clothes, disposed of waste, and let livestock drink. The same river containing schistosomes, parasitic flatworms that penetrate skin on contact. A 2018 study of Egyptian mummies found schistosomiasis infection rates of 60 to 80% in the population. Here's how schistosomes work. The larvae swim in water. When you drink or wade into the Nile, they penetrate your skin or mucous membranes within minutes. They migrate through your bloodstream to your liver and intestines. There, they mature into adult worms that live for years, laying thousands of eggs daily. The eggs trigger immune responses that cause inflammation, scarring, and organ damage. But you won't feel it immediately. The first symptoms, fever, chills, muscle aches, appear in 2 to 8 weeks. Modern treatment requires praziquantel, a medication that won't be invented for 3,500 years. Without it, chronic infection leads to liver failure, bladder cancer, or kidney failure within 5–10 years. You've been in ancient Egypt for 1 hour. You've had 1 drink of water. You're already infected with multiple parasites that will cause chronic illness and potentially kill you. And you don't even know it yet. Hour 3, breakfast will destroy your teeth and poison your gut. It's 8 a.m. You're hungry. Someone gives you bread, the staple food of ancient Egypt. Flat bread, made from emmer wheat. It looks fine. You eat it. You've just started the process of destroying your teeth. Ancient Egyptian bread was made by grinding grain between stones. The process was imperfect. Sand particles, stone chips, and grit contaminated every batch. A 2015 analysis of mummy teeth found that 90% of adults had severe dental abrasion by age 30. The enamel was literally ground away by the food they ate daily. But here's what makes it catastrophic for you. Modern people have strong enamel from fluoridated water and regular dental care. But we've never faced constant abrasion from every meal. The sand in Egyptian bread would erode your enamel within weeks. Once the enamel is gone, bacteria enter the tooth. Abscesses develop. Infection spreads to the root, then the jaw, then the bloodstream. And there are no dentists, no antibiotics, no painkillers beyond weak herbal remedies. You have two choices. Live with excruciating pain until the infection kills you, or have someone pull the tooth with crude tools and no anesthesia, which often causes worse infections. But the bread isn't just destroying your teeth. The grain storage conditions guarantee contamination. Ancient Egyptians stored grain in communal silos where it sat for months. Moisture caused mold growth, ergot fungus, which causes hallucinations, seizures, and gangrene infected grain regularly. Rodent feces contaminated supplies. Insects laid eggs in stored grain. Modern food safety regulations exist because without them, food kills you. Ancient Egypt had none. Every meal was Russian roulette. The chronic low-level poisoning from contaminated food is why life expectancy was 35 years. Hour 5. The sun and heat begin breaking down your body. The temperature is 105 degrees Fahrenheit and climbing. You're working, because everyone works in ancient Egypt. If you're a farmer, you're in fields with no shade. If you're a laborer, you're moving stones in direct sunlight. If you're a craftsman, you're in a workshop with no ventilation. Your modern body has no preparation for this. Humans can adapt to extreme heat, but it takes weeks of gradual acclimatization. Ancient Egyptians grew up in this climate. Their bodies adapted from childhood. Your body hasn't. You're used to air conditioning, climate-controlled environments, and never working outdoors in extreme heat. Here's what happens in your body within hours. At 100 degrees Fahrenheit, your body sweats to cool down. You're losing water and electrolytes rapidly. You need to drink constantly. But remember, the only water available contains parasites. Every drink is killing you slowly while keeping you alive short-term. At 110 degrees Fahrenheit, sweat evaporation slows because the air is so hot and humid near the Nile. Your core temperature rises, your heart rate increases to pump blood to your skin for cooling. You're working harder and getting less cooling effect. At 115 degrees Fahrenheit, heat exhaustion sets in. Symptoms: dizziness, nausea, headache, weakness, confusion. Modern treatment: move to cool environment, drink electrolyte solutions, rest. Ancient Egypt treatment: none. You keep working because everyone must work to survive. Stopping means no food. No food means death. If heat exhaustion progresses to heat stroke, you die. Core body temperature exceeds 104 degrees F. Brain damage begins. Organs start failing. Modern treatment requires immediate cooling and 4 fluids. Ancient Egypt has neither. Heat stroke is fatal without intervention. Even with modern medicine, the mortality rate is 10 to 50% depending on how quickly treatment begins. It's been 5 hours. You're dehydrated, infected with parasites, poisoned by contaminated food, and suffering from heat exhaustion. You probably think the worst is over. You're resting during the hottest part of the day. You're in a mud brick house with no windows to keep out heat, no ventilation, no sanitation. You're surrounded by people, extended family, maybe 8-12 people in a small space. You're now in a disease incubator. Ancient Egyptians had no concept of germ theory. They didn't know diseases were caused by microorganisms. They didn't wash hands before eating. They didn't separate human waste from living areas effectively. They lived in close quarters with animals. Every condition that spreads disease was present and normalized. The diseases you're exposed to right now are tuberculosis, highly contagious bacterial infections spread through coughing. Mummy analysis shows 25% of ancient Egyptians had TB in close quarters with infected people. You'd be exposed within hours. Modern treatment requires 9 months of antibiotics. Ancient Egypt, no treatment, 50% mortality rate. Malaria, carried by mosquitoes breeding in Nile irrigation channels. Parasites enter bloodstream through mosquito bites. Causes recurring fevers, organ damage, fagend, and death. Modern treatment, antimalarial drugs. Ancient Egypt, some herbal remedies that barely worked. Many died. Survivors suffered recurring infections for life. Typhus, spread by lice, which infested everyone. Bacterial infection causing high fever, rash. 10 to 60% mortality rate without antibiotics. Ancient Egyptians had lice constantly. Bathing was limited. Clothing was reused. And communal living spread infestations. Actual bubonic plague. Analysis of ancient DNA found Yersinia pestis, plague bacteria in Egyptian remains, dating to 3000 BCE, spread by fleas from rats living in grain storage areas. 30 to 90% mortality rate without antibiotics. But here's what makes your situation catastrophic. Modern humans have immune systems trained by vaccinations and controlled exposure to mild infections. We're protected against diseases that don't exist anymore in developed countries. Ancient Egypt has diseases your immune system has never encountered. You're immunologically naive to everything. A mild infection that ancient Egyptians fought off easily could kill you because your immune system doesn't recognize it. You're simultaneously more protected, better general health, and more vulnerable, no specific defenses than everyone around you. Hour 12. Food poisoning and dysentery. Enter the chat. Dinner time. You're served fish from the Nile, vegetables, and more bread. You eat because you're starving. You've been working in 110 degrees Fahrenheit heat all day. Your body needs calories. You've just guaranteed you'll spend the night violently ill. Ancient Egyptians had no refrigeration. Food was caught, harvested, or slaughtered and eaten the same day or preserved through salting or drying. But preservation was imperfect. In 100-degree Fahrenheit plus heat, bacteria multiply exponentially. The fish you just ate has been sitting in the sun for 6 hours. In modern food safety standards, fish must be refrigerated within 2 hours or discarded. This fish has been in the danger zones for 3 times that long. The vegetables were irrigated with Nile water containing human and animal waste. They were rinsed with the same contaminated water. Coli, parasites, and bacteria that cause dysentery. The symptoms begin. Nausea, cramping. Then the diarrhea starts. Violent, uncontrollable, explosive diarrhea. You're losing fluids rapidly. In modern times, you drink clean water and electrolyte solutions. You're drinking the same contaminated Nile water that's making you sick, creating a feedback loop. Modern oral rehydration therapy saves millions annually. Clean water plus salt plus sugar in precise ratios allows your body to absorb fluids. Ancient Egypt had none of this. Severe diarrhea meant death for young children, elderly, and already weakened adults. Even healthy people died regularly from what we now treat easily. But here's the catastrophic part for you. You've been drinking contaminated water all day, parasites. You've been eating contaminated food all day, bacterial infections. You've been working in extreme heat. Your body is already compromised. This episode of food poisoning might be the final stressor that kills you. It's been 12 hours. You're lying in the dark, no electricity, no lights after sunset in a mud brick house. You're sweating from fever. You're cramping from dysentery. You're dizzy from dehydration. You're wondering if you'll survive the night. And tomorrow is going to be exactly the same. Hour 16. Nighttime brings different dangers. It's 11 p.m. You're trying to sleep on a reed mat on a dirt floor. The temperature has dropped to 85 degrees Fahrenheit, which feels cool compared to the 115 degrees Fahrenheit daytime. But the night brings different threats. Insects. So many insects. Ancient Egypt had no window screens, no mosquito nets, until much later in Egyptian history. No insect repellent. Mosquitoes swarm at night, which we discussed earlier. But they also carry lymphatic filariasis, parasitic worms that cause elephantiasis. They breed in the reed mats, clothing, and hair. They bite constantly, causing itching and spreading typhus. Ancient Egyptians were so infested that shaving all body hair was common among those who could afford it. But most people lived with constant parasitic infestation. Scorpions and snakes enter houses at night, seeking warmth and prey, the rodents eating stored grain. Ancient Egyptians died regularly from venomous bites while sleeping. Modern antivenom doesn't exist. A scorpion sting causes excruciating pain, possible respiratory failure, and potential death, especially for the young, old, or already sick. But here's what you're not prepared for: the psychological horror of ancient Egyptian nights. Total darkness. No street lights, no flashlights, no ambient light from electronics. When the sun sets, you're in absolute blackness, unless you're wealthy enough to afford oil lamps. You hear every sound: insects crawling, animals moving, people coughing and groaning from illness. You can't see threats coming. That sound near your head, is it a scorpion? A snake? Just a beetle? You lie awake. And sleep deprivation makes everything worse. Your immune system needs sleep to function. Without adequate rest, infections spread faster. Wounds don't heal. Your cognitive function declines, making you more prone to mistakes that could injure or kill you. Hour 20. Morning brings no relief. It's 3 a.m. You haven't slept more than an hour at a time. You're woken by the call to begin work. Yes, 3 a.m. Agricultural work starts before dawn to avoid midday heat. You're expected to work regardless of illness. You drag yourself up. Every muscle aches. You're running a fever from the infections now multiplying in your body. But you must work. In ancient Egypt, not working means not eating. Not eating means death. By 5 a.m., you're back in the fields or at the construction site. The sun isn't up yet, but the temperature is already 90 degrees Fahrenheit. You're weaker than yesterday, more dehydrated, more infected, more poisoned by contaminated food and water. The pattern repeats: drink contaminated water or die of thirst. Eat contaminated food or die of starvation. Work in extreme heat or die of poverty. Every survival choice slowly kills you. There's no escape. Hour 24. You're not going to make it. It's 6 a.m. You've been in ancient Egypt for exactly 24 hours. You're not dead yet, but you're close. Here's what's happening inside your body. Parasitic infections from contaminated water. Schistosome larvae are migrating through your bloodstream. Guinea worm larvae are establishing in your intestines. Giardia is destroying your gut lining. You won't feel the full effects for weeks, but the damage is already starting. Food poisoning and dysentery. You've been violently ill for 8 missed 10 hours. You've lost 10 to 15% of your body fluids. You're severely dehydrated with no way to properly rehydrate. Your organs are beginning to fail. Heat injury. You've worked 2 days in 110 to 115 degrees Fahrenheit heat with inadequate water and electrolytes. Your kidneys are damaged. Your heart is stressed. Your brain function is impaired. Dental damage. The sand in the bread has begun abrading your enamel. In a few weeks, you'll develop your first cavity, your first abscess. In a few years, if you survive that long, the infection will spread to your jaw and bloodstream. Disease exposure. You've been exposed to tuberculosis, dehydration, and stress. Malnutrition. Ancient Egyptian diet was carb-heavy bread and protein-light. Vitamin deficiencies caused scurvy, vitamin C, night blindness, vitamin A, and anemia. Iron. Your modern diet has kept you healthy. In ancient Egypt, you're rapidly becoming malnourished. You're not going to survive a week, let alone a lifetime. Why ancient Egyptians could survive and you can't? But here's the question everyone asks. How did anyone survive? The answer is brutal. Most didn't. Life expectancy was 35 years. But that's an average that includes massive infant and child mortality. 30 to 50% of children died before age 5. Of those who survived childhood, many died in their teens and 20s. The few who reached 40 were considered elderly. But the ones who survived had advantages you don't. Thousands of years of evolution in this environment meant their immune systems recognized local diseases. They had genetic resistance to malaria, sickle cell trait, partial resistance to parasites, and tolerance for contaminated water that would kill you. They were exposed to these diseases as children when immune systems are most adaptable. They either died or developed immunity. You're being exposed as an adult with no prior defenses. Their gut bacteria were adapted to contaminated food and water. Your gut bacteria are optimized for clean, refrigerated, sanitary food. Ancient Egyptian diet would destroy your microbiome within days. They grew up in this climate. Their bodies learned to regulate temperature efficiently from childhood. Your body has no such training. They didn't know what they were missing. You know that clean water, the food would destroy you within days. Contaminated, abrasive, and poisonous in ways modern food safety has eliminated. The heat would break you within a week. Constant exposure to 110-degree F+ temperatures with no relief. The disease environment would kill you within months. Typhus, plague, and dozens of other infections your immune system has never encountered. The dental damage would cripple you within a year. Infections and pain that spreads to your jaw and bloodstream. You wouldn't survive 24 hours in ancient Egypt because your body is optimized for a modern environment. Clean water, refrigerated food, climate control, modern medicine, and disease-free living conditions. Remove those advantages and your body fails rapidly. Ancient Egyptians weren't tougher than you. They just didn't have a choice. They were born into this hell and either adapted or died. You're being dropped into conditions you're utterly unprepared for. The pyramids are magnificent. The hieroglyphics are beautiful. The golden treasures are stunning. But the daily reality of ancient Egypt would kill you faster than you can imagine. That's why you wouldn't survive one day in ancient Egypt. Not because of crocodiles or curses or pharaohs. Because the water, food, heat, and disease that ancient Egyptians lived with daily would destroy your modern body before you could say, "Where's the bathroom?" And by the way, they didn't have bathrooms either. Just a hole in the ground that attracted more disease-carrying insects. Welcome to ancient Egypt. You're already dying.